Life is not a random sequence of events, nor is it a constant battle to be endured. It is a perfectly ordered spiritual game, designed with precision and played according to divine law. You are not a helpless spectator, nor a victim of circumstances. You are the master player, and every choice you make, every thought you hold, every word you speak is a move on the board of life. The game responds to you. The moment you understand this truth, the way you approach each day changes completely. You begin to realize that nothing is wasted, nothing is meaningless, and nothing is outside the reach of the divine intelligence that governs this game. The people you meet, the opportunities that arise, even the challenges you face are all strategic placements, pieces on the board aligning for your ultimate victory. There are no accidents in the game of life, only divine arrangements. When you rise in the morning, you are stepping onto the field of play, and your first thoughts are your first moves. If you rise with gratitude, faith, and an expectation of good, the entire day aligns to match that vibration. The divine orchestrates events in ways you could never plan with your human mind. Doors you thought were closed begin to open, resources you didn't know existed are placed in your path, and people you never imagined meeting are drawn toward you. It is not luck. It is alignment with the spiritual laws that govern this game. The most powerful players are not those who push and force, but those who know how to align and receive. They understand that the board is already set for their victory. Their role is not to struggle, but to listen for divine guidance and move when prompted. They know that every apparent delay, every seeming detour, is just a higher move being set up. You are meant to play this game with confidence, with boldness, and with the absolute certainty that the divine is your partner in every move you make. It does not matter how the past games have gone for you. Even if you feel you have lost before, the moment you choose to play by divine principles, the tide turns in your favor. You stop being a pawn of circumstances and become a deliberate co-creator with infinite intelligence. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. The rules become clear. You think with intention, you speak with purpose, and you act in faith. You trust the invisible far more than the visible, for you know the visible is only the result of what has already been decided in the unseen. Right now, as you listen, the next move is forming in your favor. The right people are being positioned. The perfect timing is aligning. The resources are gathering. You have been given the authority to command your destiny in this game. And as you grasp this truth, your words begin to carry weight, which leads us into the next great principle, that your word shapes the board on which this game is played. Your word is not just sound passing through the air. It is a force that moves the very structure of life. The moment you speak, you release a command into the invisible, and the invisible begins shaping the visible to match your declaration. Every word you utter is either moving you closer to victory or pushing the prize further away. That is why in this divine game, careless speech is the quickest way to lose position, and intentional speech is the fastest way to advance. When you say, "I can't," the board rearranges to block your progress. When you say, "I can and I will," the pieces move in your favor. Your word is your authority. It carries creative power, because it is backed by the same spirit that spoke the universe into being. If you truly understood the weight of your words, you would guard them as you guard treasure. You would no longer speak defeat, even in jest, because you would know that every statement plants a seed. Seeds do not care whether they are planted in hope or in fear. They grow according to their kind. Speak lack, and you water the seed of lack. Speak abundance, and you water the seed of abundance. There is no neutral ground in speech. Every word is a move. And in this game, the most skilled players know that you speak only of the outcome you desire, never of the conditions you fear. This is why affirmations, spoken with conviction, are so powerful. They are not empty phrases. They are deliberate moves that set the board in your favor. When you declare, "Everything I need is coming to me in perfect ways," you set a divine chain reaction into motion. The right calls come, the right opportunities appear, the perfect resources arrive, not because you chased them, but because your words called them forth. The universe does not respond to vague wishes, it responds to clear commands, given in faith. To master this part of the game, you must develop the habit of catching yourself before you speak. Replace complaint with gratitude. Replace doubt with faith-filled declarations. Replace fear with words of certainty. You will notice that as you do this consistently, your outer world begins to match your inner speech. The delays grow shorter, the victories more frequent, the path more direct. You realize that you do not need to fight the board, you simply need to speak to it. And yet, as you learn to wield this power, you will face a test. The outer world will often present you with appearances that contradict your declarations. It will tempt you to agree with lack, to speak what you see instead of what you desire. This is where the true master keeps his position. You hold your tongue from speaking defeat, and you keep declaring your good, even when the evidence is not yet visible. For you know that appearances are illusions, and the real game is unfolding in the unseen. Beyond what the eye can yet perceive, appearances will always try to deceive you. They will whisper that nothing is happening, that you are stuck, that the good you declared is nowhere in sight. But in the divine game of life, what you see with the physical eyes is never the full truth. The visible world is like the scoreboard. It only reflects what has already been played out in the invisible. The real moves happen in the spiritual realm, and by the time they appear in the material, the outcome has already been decided. This is why the wise player refuses to be moved by appearances. They understand that lack, delay, and opposition are nothing more than shadows, temporary conditions with no power of their own. When you look at appearances and agree with them, you give them life. You turn a shadow into a wall. But when you look beyond appearances, when you keep your focus on the promise, the wall dissolves before your eyes. The invisible is the source. The visible is only the result. If you keep working from the source, the results will eventually match. It is impossible for them not to. Just as a tree springs from an unseen seed, your manifestation begins in the soil of the unseen before it ever shows above the ground. The impatient player digs up the soil to check for growth and kills the seed. The master player tends the soil with faith and watches the harvest appear in its season. There is a reason the spiritual law tells us to walk by faith, not by sight. Sight will always show you the temporary, the incomplete picture. Faith sees the finished work. Appearances may show you an empty bank account, but faith sees a flow of abundance rushing toward you. Appearances may show you closed doors, but faith sees the door already swinging open. Appearances may tell you you've been denied, but faith knows it's simply a divine redirection to something better. To play the game with power, you must learn to keep your eyes fixed on the invisible truth, even when the visible evidence seems to mock you. You do not say, "It's not working." You say, "It is already done." You do not say, "Nothing is happening." You say, "Everything is happening for my good." You train your spiritual vision to see past the illusion, and you anchor your speech to that higher reality. And here lies the next great move in the game, understanding that the force that allows you to hold this higher vision is faith. It is faith that lets you ignore appearances and declare your victory anyway. It is faith that makes the impossible inevitable. And in this game, faith is not just a belief. It is the decisive winning move that no opponent can counter. Faith is the unseen hand that moves every piece in your favor. It is the master stroke in the game of life, the one move that can turn apparent defeat into sudden victory. Without faith, you are left reacting to the board, responding to whatever appears in front of you. With faith, you are commanding the board, shaping the unseen currents that determine how the visible game unfolds. Faith is not wishful thinking. It is absolute knowing. It is the quiet but unshakable certainty that what you have declared is already done, no matter what the outer picture shows. Fear, on the other hand, is simply faith in the wrong thing. It is belief in loss, belief in failure, belief in scarcity. Fear paints a vivid picture of the very thing you do not want, and then demands that you focus on it. It tricks you into rehearsing defeat in your mind until it becomes the outcome you walk into. This is why fear and faith cannot occupy the same space. One must drive out the other. You cannot hold a vision of abundance while speaking words of lack. You cannot hold a vision of victory while telling the story of defeat. The moment fear knocks at your door, faith must answer. Faith does not need to know how the move will be made. It does not demand to see the details before believing. Faith knows that the divine has infinite ways to deliver your good, ways you could never imagine. Faith rests in the assurance that the perfect move is already in motion, even if you cannot yet see it. It trusts divine timing, divine connections, and divine order. Faith says, I may not see it yet, but it is mine. I may not hold it yet, but it is already done. When you stand in faith, you stop chasing and start attracting. You stop worrying and start expecting. Your energy changes, your decisions shift, and life begins to bend toward you. People feel your certainty. Opportunities gravitate toward you. You become a magnet for the very things you desire, not because you are desperate for them, but because you know they are already yours. Faith does not come by accident, it is cultivated. You build it by speaking your good even when there is no evidence of it. You strengthen it by choosing to remember past victories instead of past failures. You protect it by refusing to speak fear into existence. You feed it by surrounding yourself with truth, with affirmations, with reminders of who you are and what is possible. And as faith grows, something extraordinary happens. You begin to see that there is no real shortage, no lack of supply in this game. The moves available to you are limitless. The board is not rigged against you. It is overflowing with abundance, waiting for the player who has the courage to claim it. This is where the next truth unfolds, that divine supply is without limit, and it is always ready to flow to you the moment you align with it. There is no shortage in the mind of the divine. Supply is infinite, endless, and ever-flowing. The very air you breathe is a reminder that the universe operates in abundance, not scarcity. You do not have to beg for your good. You do not have to strain to make it happen. You only have to align yourself with the truth that what you desire already exists in the unseen and is waiting for your acceptance. Just as the ocean does not run dry, divine supply cannot be exhausted. No matter how much good has already been received by others, there is still more than enough for you, because the source is limitless. When you live in the consciousness of abundance, you stop making decisions based on fear of not having enough. You stop hesitating, you stop clutching tightly to what you have, and you begin to live in a way that reflects your trust in the ever-present supply. You give freely, not because you want to lose, but because you know the law. What you release returns multiplied. The divine does not reward tight fists, it blesses open hands. An open hand can receive far more than a clenched one. The key to unlocking this flow is gratitude and expectation. Gratitude acknowledges that the supply is already here, even before it becomes visible. Expectation keeps the channel open for it to appear in perfect timing and perfect ways. When you declare, I am always supplied, you are not making a wish, you are speaking spiritual law into action. The unseen begins arranging people, circumstances, and opportunities to match your declaration. Resources you did not even know existed are drawn into your life. Doors you thought were closed begin to open with ease. This is not coincidence, it is divine order at work. And yet, there will be times when appearances suggest the opposite. There may be moments when the bank account shows lack, or opportunities seem to vanish. In those moments, the untrained player begins to panic, but the one who knows the law refuses to be moved. Instead, they affirm the truth even more boldly. I am supplied in every way, all that is mine by divine right comes to me now, quickly and easily. That declaration is not denial, it is alignment. It is the choice to agree with the spiritual fact, rather than the temporary appearance. The flow of divine supply is never cut off from you. It is only blocked by doubt, fear, and words of limitation. Remove those blocks, and the current rushes in. Speak abundance, think abundance, act as one who is already provided for. And as you live in this state, you begin to notice something extraordinary. What once felt like obstacles no longer feel threatening. They are simply part of the movement of the game, guiding you toward even greater good. And this leads to the next truth. that every apparent challenge is not a loss, but a strategic move toward your ultimate victory. Every challenge that appears before you is not a signal that you are losing the game. It is often the very move that will lead you to win. What the untrained eye calls a setback, the wise player recognizes as a setup. Divine law wastes nothing. Every twist in the path has purpose, and every obstacle carries within it the seed of greater advancement. In the moment, you may not understand why a door has closed or why a delay has come, but from the higher view of the game, these are the moves that position you perfectly for what is truly yours. Sometimes the path to your good is not straight, it must curve, turn, and even appear to go backward to set up the perfect outcome. Imagine a master chess player sacrificing a piece, not because they have lost, but because they are securing the checkmate. Life works the same way. What looks like a loss is often a calculated maneuver to open the way for greater gain. The divine knows the moves ahead that you cannot see, and when you trust this, you stop resisting what comes and start flowing with it. When a challenge arises, your first instinct must not be panic, but alignment. You ask, what is the higher move in this? And you declare, this too is working for my good. Those words immediately shift your position on the board. They turn the energy of resistance into the energy of cooperation with divine order. Instead of blocking the next move, you invite it in. And in time, you see that the challenge was not a barrier at all, it was a bridge to the very thing you were calling in. Holding this perspective changes the way you walk through life. You no longer see difficulties as proof of failure, you see them as evidence that the game is still active and moving in your favor. You learn to meet challenges with calm authority, speaking words of victory instead of fear. The moment you speak in alignment with divine truth, you reclaim your power in the situation. It is also in challenges that your faith becomes unshakable, for you learn through experience that nothing can truly take from you what is yours by divine right. Even if something leaves, it only clears the way for something better. The game never removes without replacing with increase. This is why the masters of life are fearless. They know that no matter how the board shifts, they cannot lose. And as you walk with this confidence, another truth begins to unfold naturally. You start to hear and trust the quiet guidance within, the gentle voice that tells you exactly what move to make next. You realize that this inner wisdom is not random thought, but the very coaching of the divine, leading you from challenge to triumph without fail. That quiet voice within you is not a fleeting thought or an idle feeling, it is the guidance of the divine, the inner coach that sees the entire board of life and knows exactly which move will lead to your victory. Intuition is not guesswork, it is the direct transmission of wisdom from the infinite mind to yours. It comes not with fear or confusion, but with a calm certainty, a stillness that carries authority. Sometimes it speaks as a sudden knowing, other times as a gentle nudge, a thought you cannot shake, or an inner push to act or not act. This is the voice that, when followed, never leads to loss. In the game of life, your greatest advantage is not speed, not force, not even strategy. It is your ability to hear and obey this guidance. The divine knows every piece in play, every hidden factor, every ripple effect of each choice you could make. When you lean on this inner direction, you bypass obstacles you didn't even know were ahead and arrive at opportunities you could not have created on your own. But to hear this voice clearly, you must learn to quiet the noise. Fear shouts, impatience pushes, doubt interrupts, but intuition whispers. It speaks in the still moments, in the space between your hurried thoughts, in the peace that follows prayer or affirmation. This is why the masters of the game take time to listen before they move. They do not act out of desperation, they wait for the inspired step, knowing that one move made in alignment with divine guidance is worth 100 moves made in haste. You will find that sometimes this voice will guide you to take an action that feels small or unrelated, yet it will lead to an unexpected breakthrough. Other times it will tell you to pause when everything in you wants to rush forward, and later you will see why that delay was perfect. Intuition operates beyond the limits of logic. It is not bound by what you see, only by what is true in the unseen. The more you trust it, the stronger it becomes. Each time you follow and see the good result, your faith in it grows. You begin to realize that you are never playing the game alone. You are playing with the ultimate strategist, the one who never loses. And as you keep following this voice, you also begin to understand a deeper law at work. The game rewards those who give from the heart. It is not enough to be guided toward your own gain. The true mastery of life comes when you use that guidance to give, to bless, to circulate good, knowing that in doing so, you open even greater channels for your own abundance to flow. When you begin to truly understand that money is not something you chase, but something you align with, you stop operating from the frantic, desperate energy that keeps it away. You see, most people unknowingly block the flow of wealth because they approach it with grasping hands and anxious hearts. They want it so badly that their very wanting becomes a declaration of not having, and the universe, which always mirrors your dominant state, responds to that frequency of lack. Instead, wealth responds to calm confidence, to the quiet knowing that it is already yours in essence, and that your role is not to force it, but to receive it. This is why alignment is so crucial. It turns the pursuit of money into an effortless attraction. You no longer see yourself as someone trying to get money. You see yourself as someone who already lives in harmony with abundance. You speak from that place, you think from that place, you make decisions from that place, and money, like a loyal companion, stays close to those who treat it as a trusted friend, not as a prize to be captured. Every thought, word, and action is either bringing you closer to that alignment or pushing you further from it. If you're constantly speaking about bills, debts, and shortages, you're reinforcing a reality where those things are dominant. But when you choose to speak the language of prosperity, declaring "I always have more than enough" or "money flows to me in perfect ways," you begin to shift the entire energy field around you. This isn't just positive thinking, it's a reprogramming of your vibration, the signal you send out that determines what comes back. And just as you wouldn't expect to tune a radio to one station and hear another, you cannot broadcast scarcity and receive abundance. The signal must match the result. This alignment also changes how you handle opportunities. When you're aligned, you don't rush into things from fear of missing out, and you don't shrink back because of doubt. You act with clarity, guided by the knowing that every right opportunity is perfectly timed. You see money not as something outside of you, but as an extension of your own energy, ever present, ever ready to multiply when met with faith, gratitude, and wise action. And the beautiful part is, once you're in this state, even if money temporarily flows out, it's never a cause for panic, because you know it will return, often in greater measure, just as surely as the tide returns to the shore. This deep trust creates a cycle where money is free to flow without resistance, and the more you maintain that flow, the more it grows. When you begin to truly align with the energy of wealth, you realize that money is not an external force you chase, it is an internal vibration you radiate. The more you deepen this understanding, the more effortlessly opportunities appear. You no longer view prosperity as something far away, reserved for a select few, but as an ever-present current flowing toward you. Every word you speak, every thought you nurture, every emotion you allow into your heart sends out a frequency. If that frequency is filled with gratitude, confidence, and expectancy, the universe cannot help but respond in kind. It's like tuning a radio. When you set it to the right station, the music plays clearly. You no longer need to go after money because your energy has become magnetic to it. This is where consistency becomes essential. The old patterns of doubt, fear, and unworthiness might try to creep back in, but now you see them for what they are: temporary illusions, shadows of a past that no longer defines you. When they arise, you gently replace them with affirmations that affirm your truth. I am worthy of wealth. I am a perfect channel for prosperity. Money comes to me with ease. This is not wishful thinking. It is conscious reprogramming. You are reshaping the blueprint of your mind, brick by brick, until only the architecture of abundance remains. You will notice subtle yet powerful shifts in your daily experiences. Perhaps a conversation leads to an unexpected business idea, or someone offers you an opportunity that perfectly aligns with your skills. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations that your energy is being heard. The more you acknowledge them with gratitude, the more they multiply. Gratitude is the accelerator of manifestation. It takes your desires and amplifies them, pushing them into reality faster than you imagined. And it's not only about receiving money, it's about becoming a conscious steward of it. As you align with prosperity, you also develop a deep respect for the flow of money. You spend with intention, invest with wisdom, and give with a heart wide open. You begin to understand that giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin. When you give, you signal to the universe that you trust the supply is endless. When you receive, you allow that supply to flow through you without guilt or hesitation. This harmony between giving and receiving creates a cycle that never stops. Money becomes a joyful companion, rather than a source of stress. You begin to feel that you are not only attracting wealth, you are living in partnership with it. This is the stage where the next transformation begins, a shift from personal abundance to becoming a channel of abundance for others. And that is where the true magic unfolds, because when your prosperity uplifts the world around you, your wealth becomes unstoppable. And as you keep moving forward, you begin to realize that every thought you think is not just a passing cloud, it is a living seed, carrying the potential to shape the very fabric of your life. You start noticing how the smallest thoughts, the ones you barely pay attention to, are quietly setting the tone for your days, influencing your decisions, and directing the course of your life in ways you never imagined. You become more mindful, not out of fear, but out of deep reverence for the creative power entrusted to you. You understand that your mind is not a chaotic playground where any random thought can run wild. It is a sacred garden, where only what you allow to take root will grow. So you begin to weed out the doubts, the complaints, the memories of past failures, and the fears of the future. You no longer tolerate them, because you see now that they are not harmless, they are thieves of your destiny. You start replacing them, patiently and deliberately, with thoughts of success, wealth, peace, joy, and divine alignment. Even when old patterns try to creep back in, you stand guard, just like a watchman at the gates of a city, allowing only the thoughts that serve your highest good to enter. You speak to your mind as a leader speaks to a team, with authority, clarity, and expectation. You say, "This is what we are thinking today. This is the direction we are moving in. This is the outcome we are accepting as truth." And your mind listens, because it was never meant to control you, it was always meant to be led by you. Slowly you begin to feel a shift. Opportunities that once passed you by now seem to appear in perfect timing. Solutions to problems arrive before you even begin to worry about them. People, resources, and ideas begin to align in ways that feel almost supernatural, and you realize it is supernatural. This is the divine law in action. This is the universe responding to the clear, consistent, confident vibration you are sending out. You understand now why the scriptures say, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." It is not just a poetic phrase, it is a law, a promise, and a reality. The beauty of it all is that you don't have to force anything. You don't have to struggle, chase, or beg for what you want. You simply hold your thoughts steady in the direction of your desire, knowing that thought is the blueprint and reality is the construction. The manifestation is inevitable, because the cause has been set in motion. You feel a quiet confidence, a calm certainty that what you have envisioned is already yours in the unseen, and soon it will appear in the seen. This is the art of mastery over the mind, the art of living by divine law, the art of commanding your world through the thoughts you choose to entertain. And from here you are ready to step into the next truth, where thought becomes action, and action becomes your bridge to the life you were created to live. And now, as we bring this journey to a close, I want you to feel the shift that has taken place within you. You are no longer the same person who began this path. You are stronger, wiser, more aware of the incredible power that flows through you. The doors of limitation have closed, and the gates of abundance stand wide open before you. From this moment forward, you will never again think small, act small, or speak small. You will rise each day knowing that your thoughts are seeds, your words are commands, and your actions are the fertile soil where miracles grow. Every choice you make now is no longer random, it is intentional. Every step you take is guided by the unwavering belief that the universe responds to you, that your desires are valid, and that your vision is already seeking you with the same intensity you seek it. You no longer chase opportunities, you attract them. You no longer beg for provision, you command it. You no longer doubt your worth, you embody it. Your future is not a distant dream, it is a living reality forming around you right now. The people you need are already moving toward you. The resources you require are already being arranged. The answers you've prayed for are already flowing into your life in ways you may not even see yet, but they are coming. Your job is simply to stay in alignment, to keep your heart open, your mind focused, and your spirit unshakable. So go forward from this moment with confidence. Stand tall in the authority you have been given. Speak with the conviction of one who knows their words carry weight in the unseen. Walk with the boldness of one who knows they are backed by infinite power. And above all, never forget this: you are not waiting for your breakthrough, you are the breakthrough. The life you dream of is not just possible, it is inevitable, because you have already claimed it, believed it, and spoken it into being. Now step into it, live it, own it, because it's yours. And it has always been yours.